You ever think you really know someone, and then one day you realize you never actually knew them at all? That's what happened to me with my best friend. And trust me, it wasn't just some silly misunderstanding or a little white lie. It was something so big, so twisted, that it blew up years of friendship, trust, and basically rewrote everything I thought I knew about loyalty. And the crazy part? I almost didn't find out. It was one of those situations where a random slip-up, a single offhand comment, changed everything. By the end of this story, I'm going to tell you how one of the closest people in my life turned out to be hiding a whole other side I never even imagined existed. And how it wrecked me, but also, yeah, it weirdly set me free. But first, if you're watching this video, please drop a comment telling me where you're from. Like, what city or state are you in? I honestly love seeing how far these stories travel. And while you're at it, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the ending of this absolute train wreck. Anyway, let me take you back. So, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Pretty normal middle-class childhood. My best friend, let's call him Eric, lived 3 houses down from me on Summit Street. From elementary school through high school all the way into college, we were practically inseparable. We did everything together. Summer nights hitting up White Castle at 1 a.m. playing endless hours of Halo 3 in his basement. Even pulling all-nighters before finals at the Ohio State Library. And listen, I'm not exaggerating when I say, if you saw me, you saw Eric. We were like peanut butter and jelly. Now, life after college obviously started pulling us in different directions. I got a job at a small marketing firm downtown, and Eric, well, that's where things started to get fuzzy. See, he told me he was working in IT. Remote gig, decent pay. That kind of job where you can roll out of bed in sweatpants, log into a Zoom call, and be done for the day. And honestly, it made sense. Eric was always good with computers, and he liked his privacy. But looking back, there were so many tiny red flags I completely ignored. Like, he always had cash. Not just a little. I'm talking thick stacks. He'd cover bar tabs, pay for trips, even once handed me $500 just because I mentioned I was short on rent. I asked him about it, and he'd laugh it off. Man, crypto's been good to me. Don't worry about it. And me, being the naive idiot I was, I just said, cool, lucky you. And never thought deeper. Another weird thing? He was never on social media. No Facebook posts, no Instagram, not even a LinkedIn update. His excuse? Bro, social media is toxic. I don't want that garbage in my life. Which, fair enough. But come on, it's 2021. Who doesn't at least have a private IG for family pics? Anyway, fast forward a few years. Eric and I are still hanging out, though not as much since I'm grinding at work and he's, well, doing whatever mysterious IT thing he claimed to be doing. Then comes July 4th weekend, 2022. That was the first crack in the facade. I remember it so vividly. We're at a backyard cookout in German Village. Fireworks are about to start. People are drinking, laughing. It's just one of those perfect Midwest summer nights. And then this random guy, some friend of a friend, walks up to Eric and goes, "Yo, man, didn't expect to see you here. You still making those late-night runs up to Cleveland?" The look on Eric's face, it was like he got caught cheating on a test. He laughed it off, but it was forced. I caught that micro-expression. And my gut? Yeah, it started buzzing. But here's the thing, I brushed it off again. Told myself, whatever. Maybe he's got a side hustle. Maybe he just doesn't want to talk about it. Still, that little seed of doubt was planted. And over the next few months, it grew. So after that July 4th barbecue, I couldn't shake it. You know when something tiny just keeps bugging you in the back of your mind? Like a splinter you can't pull out. That's how I felt. Eric's face when that guy mentioned Cleveland, it replayed in my head over and over. And I thought, Cleveland? Why would he be driving 3 hours up there in the middle of the night? He hated long car rides. He used to whine about going 30 minutes to Dayton. But I didn't press him. At least not right away. About 2 weeks later, I finally brought it up. We were at Tim Hortons, his favorite place for iced cappuccinos, and I casually asked, "Hey man, what's up with you going to Cleveland all the time?" And Eric, without even blinking, goes, "Oh, my cousin lives up there. She needed help moving, so I've been around." Now listen, I knew all of Eric's cousins. We grew up together. He had one in Michigan, one in Kentucky, and the rest around Columbus. No one in Cleveland, so I called him on it. Really? Which cousin? There was this tiny pause. Then he said, Melissa. Yeah. He didn't have a cousin Melissa. That was the first time I realized, okay, something's off. He was lying straight to my face. After that, I started noticing other things. He'd disappear for whole weekends without explanation. He'd ignore texts for days, then suddenly pop back up with, sorry, my Wi-Fi was out. Who loses Wi-Fi for 3 days straight? His car, this old black Honda Accord, started smelling like cologne. Not his usual cheap Axe spray, this was expensive stuff. And the weirdest part? He started dressing better. Like not crazy but subtle. New shoes from Foot Locker, designer belts, a watch that definitely wasn't from Walmart. When I asked about it, he brushed it off. Crypto, bro told you. It's good money. Honestly, I wanted to believe him. He was my best friend. But at this point, the cracks were turning into canyons. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Saturday in late September 2022. Ohio State had just lost a brutal game, and Eric texted me, heading up to Cleveland, be back tomorrow. Don't wait up. I don't know why, but something in me snapped. Maybe it was the buildup of all the lies. Maybe it was just gut instinct. But I decided I'm gonna follow him. Yeah, I know. Creepy, right? But I had to know. So I waited. About 8 p.m., I saw him pull out of his driveway. I grabbed my keys, jumped into my beat-up Toyota Camry, and tailed him. And man, that drive. My heart was pounding the whole way. Every time he changed lanes, I thought he'd catch me. But he didn't. We rolled into Cleveland around 11 p.m. He pulled into the sketchy area near West 25th Street. Not a nice neighborhood, bars with bars on the windows, neon signs flickering, that kind of place. And then he parked outside this lounge. The sign said Velvet Room. I watched as he got out, straightened his shirt, and walked inside. I waited maybe 10 minutes, then I followed him in. My plan was just to grab a drink at the bar, blend in, see what he was up to. But the second I walked in, I froze. Eric, my best friend since childhood, was sitting in a booth with two guys in sharp suits. Not casual suits. I mean mob movie-looking suits. Slick hair, gold chains, the whole thing. And on the table in front of them, a stack of cash. Like literal bands of hundreds. My jaw dropped. I felt sick. This wasn't IT work. This wasn't crypto. I ducked behind a pillar and just watched. Eric was laughing, shaking hands, pulling out envelopes from his backpack. It was like some scene from Breaking Bad. And then it got worse. One of the guys handed him a small black duffel bag. Eric unzipped it, peeked inside, and nodded. I couldn't see what was in it, but I swear, it wasn't clothes. I was about to sneak out when one of the suit guys noticed me. He squinted, stood up, and started walking my way. Panic mode. My brain was screaming, get out now. I ducked into the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and just sat there, shaking. I waited like 10 minutes before finally slipping out the back exit and running to my car. I drove home that night in silence. My hands were sweating so bad on the wheel, I kept almost swerving. The next morning, Eric texted me like nothing happened. Yo, wanna grab Chipotle later? And you know what? I didn't say a word. I was too scared. I told myself maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was, I don't know, poker winnings? Some underground business deal? But deep down I knew. My best friend was involved in something shady. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Things got worse fast. Over the next month, Eric got different, more secretive, more paranoid. One night, I stopped by his place unannounced. I figured we'd watch a game, chill like old times. But when I knocked, he opened the door just a crack. He looked exhausted, eyes bloodshot, and behind him, I swear, I saw a gun on the kitchen counter. I froze. He noticed where I was looking and immediately slammed the door shut. 30 seconds later, he reopened it, smiling like nothing happened. Bro, you can't just drop in on me like that. I was cleaning. Cleaning? With a Glock on the counter? Yeah, right. That was the moment I knew Eric wasn't just lying. He was dangerous. So here I was, torn in half. Do I confront him? Do I call the cops? Do I just cut him off and pretend none of this ever happened? But this was my best friend. We'd shared everything. Childhood, teenage years, adulthood. How do you just walk away from that? I kept asking myself, if I don't say something, am I complicit? But if I do, am I betraying him? It was eating me alive. And then, the choice got made for me. Because one night, Eric showed up at my apartment, uninvited at 2 a.m. His shirt was ripped, his lip bleeding, and he looked more scared than I'd ever seen him. He just said one sentence, "Bro, I need you to hide something for me." And in his hands, he was holding that same black duffel bag. When I saw that black duffel bag in Eric's hands, my stomach dropped. I knew, without even opening it, that whatever was inside was the reason for all the lies, the late-night trips, the cash, the paranoia. And yet, I froze. He stood there in my doorway at 2:04 a.m. I remember the time because my microwave clock was glowing behind him. His lip was bleeding, his shirt ripped, and he looked like he'd been in a fight. "Bro," he whispered, eyes darting down the hallway like someone had followed him. "I need you to hide this for me, just for a couple days. Please." I wanted to slam the door in his face. But this was Eric, my childhood best friend. And something in his voice. It wasn't anger. It was desperation. So, like an idiot, I stepped aside. He rushed in, locked the door behind him, and dropped the bag on my kitchen floor with a heavy thud. And yeah, I did what you'd probably do. I asked the obvious, "What the hell is in there?" He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You don't want to know." That sentence sent chills through me, but I pressed him. "Eric, if you don't tell me, I'm not keeping it. I mean it. I'm not going down for your mess." He sighed, ran a hand through his sweaty hair, and muttered, "Fine, but once you know, there's no going back." He unzipped the bag halfway, and I swear, my knees almost gave out. Stacks of cash, like bricks of hundreds, wrapped in rubber bands, and tucked on the side 2 handguns. I staggered back. Eric, what is this?" He zipped it shut fast. "Don't say anything. Just let me crash here tonight, and I'll be gone by morning." My brain was short-circuiting. This wasn't crypto money. This wasn't some innocent hustle. This was criminal. Real deal, TV show level criminal. Couldn't hold it in. "Eric, you need to tell me what's going on. Are you dealing drugs? Are you in some gang? Just say it." For the first time, he broke. He slumped into a chair, put his head in his hands, and whispered, "I didn't want you to ever find out. But yeah, I've been running drops for a crew up in Cleveland. Started small, just deliveries, easy money. But now I'm in too deep." I felt sick. My best friend, the kid I used to share Lunchables with in elementary school, was confessing to being a drug runner. "You're insane," I snapped. "You could go to prison for this. You could get killed." He looked up at me, eyes bloodshot. "You think I don't know that? But it's too late. They've got me locked in. If I walk away, I'm dead." That night, I barely slept. I kept staring at that bag on my kitchen floor, wondering if cops were about to kick down my door. When the sun came up, I told him straight, "You have to get out. Take the bag and leave. I can't be part of this." But Eric just shook his head. "If I leave with it now, they'll think I ran off with their money. I need to lay low for a few days. Let things cool down." I lost it. Lay low? In my apartment? "Eric, if they find out you're here, I'm screwed too." And that's when he snapped. He stood up, slammed his hands on the counter, and shouted, "You owe me, man, after everything we've been through. After all the times I had your back. You can't do this one thing for me?" The guilt hit hard. He wasn't wrong. I did owe him a lot. But did that mean I had to ruin my life for him? That evening, while Eric was passed out on my couch, I heard a knock at the door. A heavy, deliberate knock. My heart stopped. I peeked through the peephole, and there they were, 2 men in suits. The same ones I saw at the Velvet Room. I whispered, "Eric, get up." But he was dead asleep. The knock came again, louder. We know you're in there, Eric. Open the door. I thought I was going to faint. I mouthed, what do I do? To myself like that would magically give me an answer. Finally, I whispered in his ear, they're here. He bolted upright, eyes wide, and hissed, don't answer. Whatever you do, don't answer. But the knocking turned into pounding. One of the guys shouted, if you don't open this door, we'll open it for you. I swear to you, in that moment, I thought my life was over. Then sirens. Somewhere down the street, police cruisers blaring. The men hesitated. One muttered something, then they left, quick and quiet. Eric was shaking. I was shaking. My entire body felt like it had run a marathon. And that's when I snapped for real. Eric, you need to leave. Right now. I don't care where you go, but you're not dragging me down with you. He looked at me like I just stabbed him. You're really kicking me out? After everything? I yelled, louder than I ever had in my life. Yes, because this isn't friendship anymore. This is survival. We stared at each other for a long moment. Then he grabbed the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and walked to the door. But before he left, he turned back and said something that still haunts me. You'll regret this. One day you'll need me and I won't be there. Then he was gone. I locked the door, sat down on the floor, and just cried. I hadn't cried in years, but it all came pouring out. The fear, the betrayal, the heartbreak of realizing my best friend wasn't who I thought he was. I knew then our friendship was over. But little did I know, that wasn't the last time I'd hear from Eric, because 2 weeks later he came back. And this time it wasn't just with a bag. It was with the cops right behind him. The night Eric walked out of my apartment with that black duffel bag, I thought that was it. Done. Finished. I told myself I'd never see him again, and honestly, part of me hoped I wouldn't. But of course, that wasn't the end. 2 weeks later, just when I was starting to breathe normally again, everything came crashing down. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I'd just gotten home from work at the marketing firm downtown, carrying a bag of groceries from Kroger. I was halfway through putting milk in the fridge when there it was again. A knock at the door. But this time, it wasn't Eric's sketchy friends. It was the cops. When I opened the door, 2 uniformed officers were standing there, hands resting on their belts. Are you the resident here? One asked. My throat went dry. Yeah. We need to ask you a few questions about an individual named Eric. Mind if we come in? I wanted to slam the door, pretend I didn't know him, but lying to the police? Not an option. So I let them in. They sat on my couch, notebooks out, while I sat in the armchair gripping a glass of water I couldn't even drink. They asked everything. How long had I known Eric? When was the last time I saw him? Did I know about his trips to Cleveland? Had he ever left anything at my apartment? And that last question, it nearly destroyed me. Because the truth was yes, he had left something at my apartment. That black duffel bag. With the money. With the guns. Even though he took it when he left, I had touched it. I had seen it. And now I was terrified that meant I was part of it. But I lied. For the first and only time in that interview, I lied. I said, no, he's never left anything here. The officer looked me straight in the eye, like he knew I wasn't telling the full truth. Then he wrote something down and closed his notebook. We'll be in touch, he said as they stood to leave. And just like that, they were gone. I thought maybe that was it, that I could just distance myself and move on. But nope. A few days later, word somehow got around at work. My boss called me into his office and shut the door. Listen, he said, I don't want to assume anything, but we've heard Eric's name on the news. He's under investigation, and people know you're close. We can't have that kind of association with the company. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I stammered, but I'm not involved. I didn't do anything. He nodded, but his face told me it didn't matter. I believe you, but perception matters too. Take some paid time off. We'll reassess in a few weeks. Translation. We don't trust you anymore. It wasn't just work. My family found out too. My mom called me, voice shaky. Sweetheart, why didn't you tell us? We saw the story on Channel 10 News. Eric's being charged with possession, distribution, money laundering, God knows what else. And your name came up in some online forum. People are saying you were helping him. I wanted to scream, Mom, that's not true. I didn't help him. But once something's out there, once your name is tied to someone dirty, it sticks. Friends stopped inviting me out. People looked at me differently, like I was guilty by association. And then, Eric himself reached out. It was a rainy night in October 2022. I was sitting in my apartment, lights off, just staring at the TV without even watching it. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. Hello. And there it was. His voice. Bro. I'm sorry. My chest tightened. Eric? Where the hell are you? He sighed. I can't tell you, but I needed to hear your voice. Everything's falling apart. The cops are everywhere. The crew thinks I ratted. I don't know who to trust. I exploded. Don't you dare drag me into this again. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? My job's on the line. My family thinks I'm a criminal. My whole life is wrecked. Because of you. There was silence on the other end. Then, quietly, he said, I never meant for you to get hurt. You were the only good thing I had left. I'm sorry. And then he hung up. I never heard from him again. Weeks passed. Then months. Eventually, I saw his name in the news again. He'd been arrested in Cuyahoga County, charged with multiple felonies. The trial was set for the spring of 2023. And me? I was listed as a person of interest, though I was never charged, just questioned. Again and again. Took everything I had to prove I wasn't involved. Bank records, work records, even my phone GPS data. Finally, they cleared me, but the damage was done. Even after the police let me go, people didn't look at me the same. At work, they never fully trusted me again. Eventually, I quit and took a different job in Cincinnati, just to get away from the whispers. Family gatherings were awkward. My uncle once joked, Hey, where's your gangster buddy? Everyone laughed except me. I wanted to crawl into a hole. And the worst part? Nights alone. I'd lie in bed replaying everything. The bag, the guns, the money, his face when he said, You'll regret this. I'd ask myself, should I have done more to save him? Or did I do the right thing by cutting him off? The guilt was suffocating. Slowly, though, the dust settled. Time has a way of dulling the edges of trauma. But here's the thing. I'll never look at friendship the same way again. Because what do you do when someone you trust, someone you take a bullet for, turns out to be living a double life? Changes you, makes you paranoid, makes you question every smile, every story. And yet, weirdly, it also taught me something. That loyalty has limits. That protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. So yeah, that's how my best friend of 20 years went from backyard barbecues and late-night Xbox sessions to felony charges and disappearing from my life forever. It left scars. Big ones. But it also forced me to grow. Because at the end of the day, you can't save someone who doesn't want saving. And if you try, you'll just drown with them. Conclusion/lesson. Looking back now, it almost feels like the whole thing happened to someone else. Like I just watched a movie and somehow I was written into the script. But no, this was my life. My best friend. My mess. And if I'm being real with you guys, it still hurts. I lost more than a friend when Eric went down that road. I lost years of trust, comfort, and that rare feeling of knowing someone has your back no matter what. To realize it was all built on lies, that cuts deep. But here's the thing. It also taught me one of the hardest lessons I'll ever learn. Sometimes you have to walk away from the people you love most, because if you don't, they'll drag you down with them. I used to think loyalty meant sticking by someone no matter what. That if you were truly someone's friend, you'd never leave their side. Eric used that belief against me. He banked on me feeling guilty, on me keeping quiet, on me hiding his secrets. But loyalty without boundaries? That's not friendship. That's chains. I realized it's not betrayal to protect yourself. It's survival. And honestly, if you've ever been in a situation where someone you care about is toxic, you know what I mean? Another thing I learned? Trust isn't unbreakable. It's fragile, more fragile than I ever imagined. You can know someone for 20 years and still not really know them. And maybe that sounds depressing, but it's also freeing. Because now I don't take people at face value anymore. I listen closer. I watch for actions, not just words. And if something feels off, if my gut is screaming at me, I don't ignore it like I did with Eric. I pay attention. I won't lie. The aftermath was brutal. Losing friends, being questioned by police, having family doubt me, almost losing my job, it left scars. But it also forced me to rebuild from scratch. Moving to a new city, starting a new job, putting distance between myself and the whispers. It was the best decision I could have made. It wasn't easy, but it gave me a fresh start. And sometimes, that's exactly what you need when your past feels like it's swallowing you whole. So if you're listening to this right now, and you've got someone in your life who feels off, someone who keeps secrets, someone who drags you into drama that isn't yours, please hear me. You don't owe them your life. You can care about someone and still say, enough. I can't do this anymore. That doesn't make you a bad friend. It makes you someone who values yourself enough not to sink with a sinking ship. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had stayed quiet, kept hiding things for Eric, maybe even helped him. I'd probably be in prison right now. Or worse. So yeah, walking away destroyed our friendship, but it saved me. And at the end of the day, that's a trade I'd make again, painful as it was. Because here's the truth. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay. Some people are lessons disguised as friends. And Eric, he was the harshest lesson of all. So, that's it. That's my story. If you've ever been in a situation where you had to cut someone off, even though it broke your heart, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you handled it, because honestly, I'm still figuring it out myself. And hey, if you've made it this far, thank you. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and remember, protect your peace. Sometimes that's the bravest thing you can do.